Marine reacts to SCP-035, also known as the Possessive Mask, Object Class Keter. Sedition Interview, Tape 1, by Tats TopVideos. As always, I'm going to be posting the link to the original video and channel down in the description below, so go ahead and make sure that you check them out. So just a quick little recap about SCP-035, since we reacted to him about a week or so ago, roughly. And just wanted to say that I liked his kind of background, and I liked the way that he was actually starting to counteract the containment procedures that the SCP Foundation was trying to set in, and that he's always was considered to be very rude or jokingly in a sense. So I'm excited to see kind of a live representation about to see how this mask actually acts. And Tats TopVideos always has, in my opinion, the best animation form for this. I mean, we've seen 682, we've seen the old AI. Animation looks absolutely insane. So I'm excited also to see the return of Watch, which I'm assuming is also going to be the interviewer in this interview. I've been getting a little suspicious of him, especially with the old AI. When he started talking about him being anomalous, so he started to make me think that he was an SCP. Then it just now I'm really intrigued to see who the interviewer is, and I realize that I'm getting a little bits of information every video that keeps going. And honestly, I'm really just hoping I'm watching these in somewhat order. That way I can grasp a better idea of the interviewee or Watch. But before we get into the actual SCP video, don't forget to like, subscribe. It really does help me out a lot. Hit that notification bell right there so you get notified every time I do upload. Sometimes I upload twice a day, typically working in the mornings, and then releasing them in the late afternoon till the evening. That way when you all get off work, you can enjoy these videos at your leisure. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and see what SCP-035, or the Possessive Mask, acts during a sedation interview.
Is this really necessary?
Send them in.
Hold on, I'm just pausing real quick to see if oh no, wait, it wasn't the captions. Oh, okay, so it's just the captions are on it regardless. All right.
Step back from the perimeter or I will shoot.
Okay, I saw the mask. Can I go now?
Come on, I just want to get back to myself. Open up.
Nothing else is happening. What's the delay?
It could take anything that looks human. Why use a real person?
It gets results.
That's true. They did say it could take anything that just resembles like human. But I mean, then again, they do have D-class personnel that they can use, and you know.
What do you want me to do? What is this thing? Why is it sad?
Gotcha.
It looks beautiful. So smooth. So delicate and light. I want it on.
Honestly, I thought he was gonna have more of a gestury voice, but you know, hey. Also, been very curious with this Watch guy right now. He really strikes me as kind of like from the Confinement series, Connor, the main character in that series, where both can be SCPs, but still work not like with they can still work with the SCP Foundation. And they might have a little more freedom, but they're not necessarily still treated very well, from what it seems to me. But I'm curious to see if we find out any more about him.
I think that's your cue.
Real quick though, it also makes me want to think like, well, what's Watch's capability? Like, what can he do that's considered anomalous? You know?
Hello there. Nice to meet you. And who might you be?
Not stupid enough to fall for that.
They did say he's very tricky, very persuasive.
Absolutely right. So you read my file, which must mean the interview ban has been lifted. I never thought they'd let me take a host again. Funny, I don't remember seeing you before.
Probably because everyone who has been in contact with you has either committed suicide or died due to the fluids you secrete.
I'm very sorry to hear that, but I can't hold it in forever, you know. When you gotta go.
You throw a tantrum until you get what you want.
And here I am, only wanting to chat.
There you are. How long have we got?
That depends. How much decomposition can you stand? The last one decayed before the blackout could be fixed. I can melt this bad boy to the bone over a few hours, but you don't seem like the kind of person to see the humor in that. Always down.
Nice party trick. We'll see how these questions go.
A risk taker. I like it.
Answer them. No grief, no manipulation, and continued interview sessions will be considered.
More? Real people too?
Yes.
Sounds great. I'll hold you to it. Come on, let's get started. I'm falling apart just sitting here.
I don't even know what it is, or just the way he's talking right now. I felt like if I was in there, he could persuade me just to, I don't know, take his side. Just the way he's talking is very fluid, very, damn. Voice actor for him is very good. Very good.
Why do you insist on contacting us? Why the urgency?
Come on, Watch. You can't expect me to be cooped up in here all by my lonesome. I get very lonely. I'm a people person. I need to stretch my legs and socialize. Well, somebody's legs.
Charming. So while you're animated, we might as well have you answer some questions.
All work and no play makes for a dull audience.
You done?
Sure.
Who was the first one to wear you?
Ipiclus. I haven't thought about him in so long.
Good friend?
Beautiful, intensely talented, but such an introvert. Lovely family though. 2 boys and a girl. Wonderful life. Oh, we made the best unit.
It's unusual to hear you speak fondly of someone you've possessed, as well as their family. Were you upset once he expired?
Oh, our partnership carried on for almost a decade.
Don't all of your hosts perish?
Like any good character, I can change and develop through time. Back then, I had a much simpler role than the star you see before you. It was sad to see him go.
What happened to him?
Around 426 BC, we ventured to Crete for a performance and I was discovered by her.
Her? I think we can come back to that later.
So now I'm curious as to who her is. Nothing really comes to mind SCP-wise. So, I don't know.
When you possess entities, do you inherit their memories and thoughts to add to your own intellect? Or are those discarded once they've expired?
Yes.
Yes? To what?
What you said. You know, I reckon we can spice up the decor around here. So
He's avoiding the question. Huh. Damn. Honestly, that probably would have had me move on to the next question myself if I was in this situation.
wallpaper, a couple curtains, maybe a throw.
035.
Wow, touchy. Everything all right upstairs? You're looking at that flustered.
I just have a lot on. Need to remind you that we only have so much time.
Right. What was your question again?
He just said real quick that he doesn't have a lot of time, but then immediately stopped that sentence. Me just throwing a wild theory out there right now, from what I know. What if this guy has like a timer as far as like when he'll die? Not like an actual timer, but like maybe a reason. Like maybe he is slowly dying. Maybe he might die. Maybe the SCP Foundation is going to kill him. You know, kind of like that. Just, I've always felt like the wording can be very representative of what is going on. Just a thought.
When?
Oh, right. You're not too far off the mark. I have memories and thoughts that I've built up, sure. But a person's resolve, the power of their mind, determines not only the memories I access, but from what perspective I interpret them.
Can you give me an example?
Alright, let's say this chap here. Simple, well-rounded humor. When he's not crapping his pants, likes to dance around the issues in his life. Clearly I'm reflecting his personality to a T. It's what I do. I'm just that great.
And if you possessed someone else?
Someone like you. Analytical, straightforward, empathetic yet not too sympathetic. Clearly intelligent. You could take a while to digest.
I hear that from 682 all the time. So the mind and personality you control dictates how long the body takes to...
See? Intelligent. Very strong indeed.
And if I didn't know any better, I'd swear you're coming on to me.
Is it working?
No.
Look, okay. Interesting. So they did mention about him taking on the personality traits of the person, which I don't think I heard that in the other video. I mean, I may have heard it, but I may have forgot. But so he could take on his personality. So if he was, say, attached on a watch, he'd probably be, as he was saying, more intelligent, analytical, straightforward. Interesting. So it seems like the mask might actually want him, considering the way he was describing him. And obviously, you know, he said, like, are you coming on to me? It's like, oh, is it working? You know. So, interesting.
Have you ever met anyone resistant? Or maybe someone who simply never trusted you?
Whatever doubts people have about me fade away over time. On average, 10 minutes or so.
Quite the aura you have there.
What can I say? I'm a charmer.
Clearly. Well, are there people who are not suited to wear you, or you would not want to be worn by?
Acne. Anyone with acne.
Oddly picky for a mask that secretes black ooze.
I have standards, and in the end, that's all I have once I'm alone.
Well, what if I had acne? Would you not want to possess me despite all you've said?
Interested, eh?
I can't with this mask, man. But I mean, I guess this is his talking skills is really coming out right now. I wouldn't do well if I was in Watch's situation then.
Don't twist this around. I'm just skeptical that the true deal breaker is acne. What about those without faces? Or even heads?
Like Mr. Headless? Who said he doesn't have a face?
That's interesting. Can you tell us more?
Ah, come on, Watchy. You can't have me spend our quality time together talking about someone else all the time. I thought you wanted to get to know me.
I just want to...
Blah, blah, blah. Go ask him. You're here for me, remember?
Moving on. How do you manage to lure humans to put you on?
I'm irresistible. Look at me.
Right.
Influence, my dear. Influence. Imagery. Presence.
Telepathic links, hypnotic commands.
You would take the magic out of everything.
There's a science to everything. Just because we don't understand something doesn't mean it's conjured out of nowhere. There's a process, even magic. While marvelous and breathtaking to the onlooker, is just another scientific process to the man behind the curtain.
Your parents never read you bedtime stories, did they? Fantasy never factored into your childhood much?
My parents never got the chance. Fantasy takes a back seat when you have to deal with the constant bombardment of reality.
I guess you should consider yourself lucky they never lived.
Huh. The way he said reality. And he said his parents never got the chance. Very hard thinking that, like, not only is his backstory pretty sad, but obviously it involves his parents. And maybe something reality-wise. Maybe. I don't know.
To see you become the unimaginable adult you are today. Laugh while you can. I'm sure they are too.
Whoa!
Remain passive, 035, or I will terminate this. Now!
Okay. I'm calm.
I just realized he's trying to have the little ooze behind him. Right over here.
I promise.
How were you created?
I like telling this one. You don't mind long and drawn out. There's a lot of plot to cover.
That's what we're here for.
Excellent. Legend speaks that Hephaestus, forger for the Greek gods, was petitioned by Zeus to create a gift for the muse Melpomene. How she used to sing the sweetest of songs and produce melodies so breathtaking, it soothed the souls from bodies of mortals and gods alike to far-off lands and back again. But one day, the only note that left her lips were that of tragedy.
That sounds terrible.
This was true to her sisters as well, and so Thalia, muse of comedy and daughter to Hermosity, and Zeus. Zeus had a lot of kids to a lot of women. He was a busy man, beseeched her father to ease her suffering. So when Astartes got the order to make such a wondrous gift, he used the laughter of Thalia to forge dramatic pause. Me!
Or so the legend goes. How do I know this isn't just a lie?
If you're gonna have an origin story, it's always best to make it multiple choice. Besides, I like this one best.
Uh-huh. So you were created by gods. However self-serving it sounds.
Wait, so he said it's great to have multiple choice, which is a great way to write this. So, but is it possible that even he doesn't know, or he's forgotten throughout time, and just claims certain one to be it? I don't know. Never know.
So what happened next?
They christened me Dion Polonoi, which means of two poles in the ancient dialogue. What?
Nothing. Sorry. Continue?
Okay. Well, there are two certainties in Greek mythology. One, every major scroll or story starts with Zeus getting horny and shagging some mortal, or trying anything to get into their pants. Two, Hera hates everyone. I mean, even being married to that prick. Hera was ruthless in pursuing revenge. Just ask Io.
Who?
Exactly. So when Hera hears Zeus's illegitimate daughter is getting a godly gift, and she isn't, every heifer on its flag can tell you she isn't going to be impressed. So while I was being made, she snuck in with one of Melpomene's most mournful sonnets, and threw it into the forge. My design was now flawed. Instead of allowing her to feel joy, I would have insinuated her own sorrow, which probably would have driven the dear muse to death.
Did you?
Hey, technically I haven't been born yet. This was just the conception stage. Luckily for me, Hephaestus saw what she had done and managed to steal me back before Hera could deliver me to the intended victim. Unfortunately, centuries in a cramped forge doesn't do well for the cardio, and he kinda dropped me over the edge.
Wow.
Wow. The details are a little hazy, again since I hadn't really been born yet. But I was found and passed from hand to hand until I found my way to the theater of Dionysus. The actors there used me for their performances, and I brought out the best in everyone who wore me, which brought about my birth.
Birth as in activation?
I guess, although that sounds far too artificial.
The first person to wear you birthed you?
Correct.
I was thinking that too, so it wasn't until someone actually put him on. But I mean, if he wasn't really born yet and he didn't know what was going on, he was either told this story by someone else or somehow has figured out this knowledge somehow. Because he wouldn't have been able to know what was going on until after somebody barely put him on. If that makes sense. Like he wasn't, since he was saying he wasn't alive at the time when he was thrown into the forge and all that, how could he know that? Right? Unless he got told by someone.
And in doing so, imprinted a personality that evolved with every person who wore you.
You're so cute when you put the pieces together.
But surely someone noticed this.
Oh, they did, but they didn't mind. I was a gift from the gods, they said.
It was Hera, wasn't it? She was the one who discovered you in Crete.
I was convinced by many of the Cretan natives that I was in fact a fallen god. I foolishly purported the image and several followers prayed for my ascension. She answered their prayers with a gift from Poseidon, a tsunami.
I'm sorry.
Just real quick, if this is completely 100% true, he has proven that Greek gods exist. I just realized that.
2,500 years later, I can still hear the screams. The bodies washing through the streets, houses swept into the sea, and you're sorry!
Calm down. Easy. Easy. Do you need a break?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, so what happened next?
She destroyed my life, So I dedicated mine to tearing down the only thing that brought her any power.
And what was that?
The Greek Empire.
Do you have any regrets?
Show me a being that has lived as long as I without regrets, and you will have found a liar. Of course I do. Fortunately, I've forgotten most of them, but I still feel them in my heart.
Anything in particular?
Burning Alexandria's library. Well, not me directly. After Hera's wrath, I wanted to hit her and the gods where it hurt them the most. And where better to hurt them than destroy the works of humanity? But like the dead swallowed up by the ocean, I could hear those books screaming as history in the making shriveled up in flame. I hope the Romans destroy knowledge that humanity still has not rediscovered. And the art? Oh, the art. I regret that dearly.
I don't know whose wrath was worse, Hera's or yours.
I repaid the Greeks in kind. The same voice that splintered their society was turned on their conquerors. The fire that destroyed Alexandria, I gave to Nero to burn down Rome.
Do you have any connection to SCP-343?
I was thinking that too, because he obviously very much looks like Zeus. So.
What's so funny?
I'm sorry. I'm okay now. So, 343, God.
Alright, so I've been hearing a lot of things that 343 isn't the type of God that we're thinking of, what we would think of originally from the Bible. Don't know too much about it, but I'm assuming he already knows about him, and that he knows, I mean, him snorting is him knowing that this guy probably isn't a god, and that he just has a certain amount of power, and not really sure what his ulterior motives may or may not be.
Look, we've not really been properly acquainted, but his reputation precedes him.
A completely different kind of drama queen.
Exactly. I created the world. I have infinite power. It's not like I hate the guy. It's just that his style doesn't click with me. He has so much ego. Coming from me, that's saying something.
I will admit, from what I've read of the transcripts, he comes across less as a god and more of a used car salesman.
To each his own. Makes you wonder if he's a god. Why hang around at the Foundation? Surely there's more interesting things out there in the whole universe.
It does seem like odd behavior for a god. Is there something here he needs? Or something he's hiding from?
You said it, not me.
Interesting. Is he hiding from something? I mean, because if he was God, why would he be hanging out with the SCP Foundation? Why not? I mean, and then when he brought up, is he hiding? Is he looking for something? Maybe in a specific SCP? And I did realize during his questions to ask 343 that he did always answer things not really very directly with direct answers, but he would say things in like an analogy type of answer, if that makes sense. Because then when he was asked about SCP-001, the Gay Guardian, and he disappeared out of there, most likely it's just because he didn't know too much information on it, but that's when he just pretty much dipped out of there.
What are your thoughts on SCP-173?
Not much beyond what I've heard. Sounds interesting, if a little shy. Breaks everything it touches. If my mother were around, that is to say, if I had a mother, she'd say we were a lot alike. Well, despite the lack of the face.
I'm sure you could contribute to that. Sounds like you two would make a nice pairing.
Don't mistake interest and admiration for respect, my boy. You seem far too intelligent to make that kind of mistake.
Well, thanks.
Think nothing of it. Look, you may believe that similarity is perfect for a duo, but I don't see the world like that. If I look for a partner, it's someone who can make up for my own shortcomings, not bring the same spiel I do. If there's one thing I truly hate in this world, it's unoriginality. That's why I couldn't stand the Romans for too long. Whole culture was a cheap imitation of mine. So I left the party and kept the door ajar for Christianity. Big mistake embracing that guy, let me tell you.
What's any of this have to do with 173?
We were talking about 173?
How old are you? It'd be nice to have an official number.
What? Do I need to spell it out to you? That's not how you weave a narrative, my boy. I've given you the facts. Use them.
Well, your timeline seems to be pretty inconsistent. Some of what you say does fit the period, but the order in which you do these things is messy.
What more do you want? I hand you an entertaining narrative and you throw it back in my face. Real considerate.
It can't be hard to...
No, you listen here. I'm giving you my precious time, not the other way around. You want some answers, you better listen carefully and maybe start asking me some goddamn worthwhile questions for once.
What are your thoughts on SCP-001?
What kind of ridiculous question is that?
Always almost standard, it seems.
Answer him, 035.
Ask nicely.
You're not exactly in any position to...
Oh, aren't I? I don't think you know who you're talking to.
Refuse to comply and I can make this situation much worse for you.
Melodrama won't get you far with me, buddy. Want me to cut off at the neck? Allow me.
Holy shit! Jacobs!
Alright, let's talk about that for a minute. So, just the personality-wise that the possessive mask can bring really makes this not only entertaining, but also very, in a way, like, sometimes I like to think of myself as a character in there, right? To say I was pretending to be watched, and there were some times where I'm laughing or I'm really getting into what the possessive mask is saying, and then I feel like I would be easily falling for his little tricks as far as trying to get onto someone's face, you know? So we got a little bit more background as to how he kind of came to be, but he did say it was a multiple choice, so there wasn't really a set origin story. And when he had said that he was found by her, ended up being Hera, so we ended up finding who that was. And then I remember at one part it was saying that since he was taking the memories of the people he was being put on, after a while it started really like messing up his mind in a sense, kind of like a whole thing with the, I mean, the best way to compare is I'm thinking like Deadpool when he combined with the symbiote kind of deal, and then it drove the symbiote crazy. So that's kind of like the vibe I got. And then the whole thing with the light shutting off and everything turning kind of like purple or violet, right? That kind of like immediately just threw me off because it was like, oh, I didn't know he can do this. We got a little more information on Watch as well. Not a whole lot, just little snippets. The main key things sticking out to me were his parents didn't have the chance. And then Mass actually mentioned them. I believe he mentioned them being in hell. I mean, it could just be him that he was talking shit though. But he also said when you had to come face to face with reality. So something with reality, just that word. I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, but I just figured I'd point that out. And then obviously at the end, 035 killed the D class. So there's also tape 2, which I'm going to be reacting to here pretty soon as well. I'm probably going to just put it at the bottom of the new top 5 that I'm going to be reacting to. That way I can see it within a couple days, and I'm able to actually see the second part of the interview because they're going to get a new D class. So, and that's going to go ahead and do it for this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, really does help me out a lot. Hit that dislike button if you didn't like it. Helps me improve the channel. If you're curious to see what videos are going to be coming out next, just like I said, just go ahead and check the description down below. You're going to see a little list of about 5 videos right there from top to bottom. That's going to be how I watch them. But until then, I'll see you all in the next video.